Ben, you know what's captivating about this book? Studies show that 85% of people wrestle with questions about suffering and its meaning. Yet, one of the most influential books on the topic was written while bombs were falling during World War II.
Pappy, that's such an interesting context for C.S. Lewis's The Problem of Pain. The fact that he wrote this while experiencing the horrors of war firsthand really adds weight to his analysis.
Well, Ben, what makes it even more compelling is that Lewis wasn't writing from some ivory tower perspective. He had experienced deep personal suffering, losing his mother at age 9, serving in World War I, where he was wounded, and later watching his wife die of cancer.
That's what gives his writing such authenticity, Pappy. He's not just theorizing about pain, he's lived through it. How does he tackle the central paradox, though?
So here's where it gets interesting, Ben. Lewis argues that the very existence of suffering points to something profound. He suggests that our sense that things aren't as they should be implies some standard of should, like feeling pain in a world without pain, would make no sense.
Hmm. That's a pretty counterintuitive way of looking at it, almost like our dissatisfaction with suffering proves we're meant for something better.
You get Ben. And here's where he makes one of his most controversial claims that pain might be God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world. Just as physical pain alerts us to a medical problem, spiritual pain might alert us to deeper realities.
That's quite a challenging perspective. Some might see it as making God sound almost cruel.
Well, Lewis anticipates that criticism. He compares it to a surgeon causing necessary pain for healing. The pain isn't the goal, it's the means to an end. And get this, he argues that in a world without the possibility of pain, there couldn't be absolute goodness either.
How does he figure that?
Think about it this way. If we were all basically programmed to be good, like robots, our choices wouldn't mean anything. It would be like having a smartphone that's forced to tell you, I love you. Not very meaningful, right? Lewis argues that real love and goodness can only exist where there's the freedom to choose otherwise.
And that's fascinating because it ties into modern discussions about artificial intelligence and consciousness. We're grappling with these questions about free will and program behavior right now.
You know what's interesting? Studies have shown that people who find meaning in their suffering tend to be more resilient. Lewis was onto something when he suggested that pain might serve a purpose, even if we can't always see it.
Though that still leaves the question of natural disasters and diseases, things that aren't caused by human choices.
Right? And this is where Lewis makes one of his most nuanced arguments. He suggests that what we call natural evil might be necessary for creating a consistent universe where actions have consequences. Like you can't have a world where fire warms you but doesn't burn you.
That reminds me of the anthropic principle in physics, the idea that the universe has to have specific properties for life to exist at all.
Ditto. And here's something mind blowing. Recent research in psychology suggests that about 60% of people who've gone through significant trauma report some form of positive transformation afterward. They call it post traumatic growth.
So Lewis's idea about suffering potentially leading to growth has some scientific backing.
Well, yes, though he would probably say he's not trying to justify suffering or make it seem reasonable in itself. He's suggesting there might be meaning in it even when we can't see it. And you know what's particularly relevant today? In our age of social media and instant gratification, his ideas about comfort potentially making us spiritually drowsy hit home.
That's true. We're living in probably the most comfortable time in human history, yet mental health issues are at record highs.
Ben, And that brings us to what might be his most important insight, that the existence of suffering doesn't necessarily mean life is meaningless. It might be pointing us toward meaning we haven't yet discovered.
So in the end, Pappy, he's not solving the problem of pain so much as reframing how we think about it.
Then you have it. He's suggesting that maybe we're asking the wrong question. Instead of why does God allow suffering, perhaps we should be asking, what might suffering be telling us about reality? It's a subtle shift, but it opens up whole new ways of thinking about these age-old questions.
That's quite profound and maybe more relevant than ever in our current world.
Ben, you know what's striking? Even after 80 years, this book continues to sell thousands of copies annually. It seems like each generation finds something valuable in Lewis's perspective on this universal human experience.